95% of people, we panic, we get ourselves into such a state before we speak. But once we get going, we're fine. The difficult bit is doing it every week and being consistent. The key to being successful is that horrible word people hate, consistency. Don't worry about anyone looking at you. No one's looking at you anyway.
Just a bit, nobody actually cares. I think that it's an unbelievable skill for people to be able to act and read a script.
I agree totally.
Because you need to be able to remember.
I totally agree.
And if I was to actually put myself forward to be an actor, I know that I'd be just...
I disagree.
It need to be short sentences. I could maybe do a 30-second commercial, but I don't think I could do a feature film. But we were doing some recording earlier, and it was a 45 to 55-second piece, which is going to go ahead for the video I showed you for the mentorship. And I must have had to read it about 6 times to get it right.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Because once I'm reading word by word,
really
I just
hard.
can't do it.
Yeah.
But I could sit here and speak with you for hours.
Yeah, yeah. The challenge is making it conversational. Taking a script, make it conversational. I was recording a video yesterday for LinkedIn. I'm doing this business community series, just giving all my top tips for speaking. And just to speak to camera, but obviously I'd memorise what I was going to say, no script, and just make it conversational. That's the key. I had to do it, a few takes to get it right, but it's such a challenge, but I love it.
But when you're teaching people how to stand up and speak, I believed that I had to actually have something to speak about. But what I've realised is I just have to stand up and be confident enough that I'm kind of worth listening to in some shape or form.
You've got so much to say, yeah.
But when you're younger,
so much to say.
or you've been quiet for so long, or you've been fearful, the minute you stand up, your mind goes blank.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because you just need to practice it?
It's about the practice. It's about the practice.
Yeah, because that's the bit that got me. I was able to sit in an environment like this, or even in a boardroom, and you couldn't shut me up. But the minute I went in and says, right, I want to do some public speaking, or I want to go to an environment, and they go, okay, Sean, come up here and tell us why you're here today.
And it happens to everyone, yeah, but everyone
The
gets
blood would drain.
Yeah, everyone.
And the only thing that's flipped is I'm confident enough to think that I'm not a Wally anymore, that I've got something to say. I don't think that I'm able to say it like Barack Obama or some high-level speaker, but I just know that when I stand there, not everyone's going to think I'm a fool, and I'm just happy to share my experiences. And that's given me the confidence now where I can stand on stage and just be myself.
Yeah, it's brilliant though. But 99% of people are affected like that. It's very rare you get someone who's not nervous.
But do you think people come to you to learn how to speak because it's paralyzing them or stopping them from becoming a better person, or is it because it's a challenge?
I get people coming to me for loads of different reasons. Just to develop the confidence, develop the speaking skills. Some people, I'm working with a business owner at the moment who wants to do more face-to-face stuff, and he wants to promote his business through videos. I've been working with him for 6 months. He's doing well, but I think we need probably need another 3 months.
But does he look back at the videos?
Oh yeah.
Is there anybody has ever looked at their own video and said, actually, I sound good there?
But
or look, all right,
yeah,
or
but
even
he's looking at it and he's seeing where he can improve. But he's come a long way, and it's all about his psychology. It's all about his mindset, and everything you've just said is all related to mindset. It really is. Just a little question for you: have we actually started? Have we? We have. Yeah. You just slipped and you just slide into me DMs, slide into me podcast there.
And action. You started the minute you walked into the door. I left a load of notes over there for you. You could have done the dishes while we were getting ready. See, now I don't know.
I've thrown him.
Yeah, no, that's not natural though, is it? Hold on a minute. Hey, let me look at my notes. No, but this is the part. So we'll have a conversation literally for hours, and I will be able to cover all of these topics. But the minute that I have to look at this, I have to go, right, and I'll be scrolling down.
Yeah.
And I'll try and make sure they don't miss anything out. But it's so difficult. The minute I stop having a flow of conversation, do you reckon that's because I enjoy it? Do you have to enjoy it to make sure that flow happens? Or do you think you can you fake a good podcast?
I mean, you could fake it. I mean, and that was one of the, I mean, the you know, the questions that we looked at are really, really good that you've sent me, and questions that I answer all the time. But I feel the reason that you feel that difficulty when you're changing from face to face or looking at notes is because, I mean we can talk about this another time, because your body's kicking you into fight and flight mode. Your brain's kicking you into survival mode, and when you do that, everything shuts down, because your brain's number one function is to keep you alive, and it's like a prehistoric kind of setting that we've got. So when you're in survival mode, you don't think, you know, you talk about your brain goes fuzzy and stuff, and I've experienced that. So that's been my experience of how to deal with survival mode when you're speaking.
Sounds like my first teenage disco. when I went to ask my first girlfriend for a dance, that was panic.
Well, you're braver than me, because my first school dance, I was 13. I showed you how old I was. The Police was like in the charts, The Police. So this was 100 years ago. I didn't have the courage to speak to the girl. The best I could do was buy a pack of sweets and a bottle of, I think it was Dandelion and Burdock, because it was so cool. It was a church disco. And the best I could do was go over and kind of look and smile.
Yeah,
and
hope you get
didn't
a
even
dance.
have the courage to speak to her.
I got my mates really to ask. So you, me, and as you said, 99% of other people naturally don't want to get up on stage, don't want to perform, don't want to public speak. So how did you then figure out, I want to do this, I want to set up, like Speak and Win, where did that come from? Was that at the very start, or was this after you gained the confidence yourself to be a public speaker?
Speak and Win happened 100 years ago. So I was 15, and I've looked back to my childhood and my youth as to where Speak and Win came from. I've really done a lot of kind of self-reflection, and it started, imagine me as a 14-year-old student back in high school, and I'm in the English class, and our English teacher was head of English, and he said, okay, Valentine, we were reading, it was Milton, Paradise Lost, we were reading John Milton. And I had to read out loud, and I'd never practiced, and I wasn't very good. So I was reading out this poem, stuttering, stammering, I was rubbish, I didn't vary the tone, and I kind of, you know, I was spitting it and spluttering out. And he went, Valentine, you're pathetic, you can't even read, boy. And I just wanted to die. I wanted the earth to open up and swallow me. I was so embarrassed in front of all my classmates. I was horrified, mortified. And I'm an emotional guy anyway, so a young emotional Si Valentine. I was finished. So I crawled through that lesson, so upset and disgusted at my own, what I thought was my own failure. But after that, I went home and I said, I'm never going to put myself in that position again. I'm going to start reading out loud. I'm going to practice my speaking skills. And that was the drive, that was the momentum, which led to decades and decades of me looking into psychology and science and practicing my speaking, mentoring people, performing. I went on to do like National Youth Theatre, was doing Shakespeare in the West End, did Romeo and Juliet. Absolutely terrified, my heart was pounding.
But did you know from that day you were going to end up on that trajectory?
No, I didn't. But I knew that I was a nervous speaker, and I knew I had to do something about it. And I thought, I can't go through this. Got to 19, doing Romeo and Juliet in the side wings in a theatre in the West End, and my heart is coming out my chest, and I'm looking down, and I can see my chest coming out and going, what's going on? This is not normal. And then I get on stage, and I do my lines, I'd be okay. And so it was that journey as to how I could reduce my nerves, improve my confidence. And then I started doing a programme about 10 years ago where I had to stand in front of hundreds, as actually thousands every year of students. And that's quite a sobering thought, Sean, to meet 300 students you've never met before, and you've got to win them over in 30 minutes, build rapport, make a connection, be humorous. I mean, if you said that to most people, they'd literally run the other way. I was rubbish to start with, I'll be honest with you. I was really poor. I had to learn very quickly. I introduced lots of different techniques and twists, And then I started having a lot of success, and that's when I thought, could I start a business from this? So then about 6 years ago, started speaking with, haven't looked back, workshops, one-to-one coaching, and brand new role play sessions starting.
Do you know when you go now, do you come off after a day of your mentorship session or your one-to-ones and think, fucking hell, I was a bit rubbish today, I could have been better? Or do you actually think that you're at your peak and you are always in flow? Because normally, if I bring it back to even my younger days in business or even my snooker career, whenever I was the top of my game, I used to always have this thing that I can still be better, and was never happy with what I delivered.
Yeah.
Even by picking up the trophy.
Yeah.
I used to pick up maybe a Irish championship or something, and I'd go home and go, oh, it could have been better today. I let everyone down because I only won 10-5. I should have won 10-3.
Wow.
And the bit that I find hard is to give myself a break.
Yeah.
This afternoon I'm going to go
Yeah.
and mentor some young lads. We talked about it earlier, and I know no matter what I deliver on that day, I'm going to go back and go, I could have given them a bit more. I'm going to think that I should always be better. And I don't know if that's something that hinders or helps my constant need or want for growth.
But that's great because you're setting the bar really high. And then with your speaking skills, you have to set the bar high. But like you're saying, you have this struggle with getting off your own back. And so if I deliver a speech or a workshop or a one-to-one session and it's only, say it's an 8 out of 10, well, I'll be frustrated that it's not a 9 out of 10. I will be. And my history is for decades, I'd be really frustrated and upset and really on my own case. I'd be really frustrated that I didn't deliver a 9 or a 10 when I know I can. I've got the skill set, but it was only an 8. But what I've learned to do in the last 10 years is I have to be okay with the outcome. And listening to some expert communicators and expert people in personal development, they say, prepare really well, do all your practice and prep, and the outcome, whether it's good or bad, it's actually none of your business. It's none of your business what people think. Get off your own back, have a bit of self-love, and just do your best. And so I've had a new approach the last 10 years. But I understand what you're saying because you're setting the bar really high, and that's a good thing, but you do need to give yourself a break.
I suppose if you accepted that every day was going to be an 8 out of 10, well,
every day 8 out of 10, I'll take that all day. Well, that's consistency.
But nobody gets 8 out of 10.
That's consistency.
Yeah.
Instead of having a 10 out of 10 and a 1 out of 10. 8 out of 10 every day is unbelievable.
So in theory, when you've an 8 out of 10 day, you should be happy.
We should be. But it depends how high you're setting the bar.
Probably the two most content people I know in my life are my mum and dad. And probably because they're more content is they've got a stage in life that they've lowered the bar on their expectations and they don't give themselves such a hard time.
Exactly.
And I think in their head it's a 10 out of 10 every day. Because they've only aimed for a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
So they're getting optimal every day.
Perfect.
So you know what, young people that are coming through now, has the way you approach things become different? Because the world is changing massively.
Yes.
Like I find I'm not one for sort of slating or sort of attacking the school system, but I think the world we're living in now is really different from what young people are getting taught.
Yeah.
More so than ever, to be able to, your social skills, your SQ, your EQ, is so important than being able to be excellent at maths, English, geography, or general knowledge.
Yeah.
Does that also relate into whenever you're speaking to kids coming out of school or younger people that are...
Definitely. I was commissioned a couple of years ago to deliver a series of 8 workshops across Cheshire for students with additional needs, special needs. It was SEND, SEMH, some really challenging students, and I had to heavily adapt the workshops to make it short chunks because their attention span at the moment and now, because of multimedia presentations, etc., and the way they watch television and absorb information, You have to make it small chunks. But I'd take that even to university. I was delivering at Liverpool University only a few months ago. And again, you have to break it down. These are top academic students, but a lot of them really struggle with speaking skills, and you have to break it down into small chunks for them. So it's you can go from students who have additional needs right up to top academic students. I think youth culture at the moment, again, you have to break it down for them, because the way we used to learn 20, 30, 40 years ago, it's completely changed, Sean.
Do you think it's the pressures of people to succeed? You need to be a billionaire now, not a millionaire. Like the bar is so high because you literally, you go online, you're competing against 8 billion other people. Like I was only competing with the people in my town and village, and maybe country. If I was at a specific sport, do you think people are just competing at such a high level that it's almost not possible, and they can't believe they can get there?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's one, you know, I think about all the time. It's one I discuss all the time, because it's about your mindset, isn't it? Because a lot of the top lifestyle experts in the planet say you shouldn't compare yourself with other people, because you're always going to be
we all do.
Because there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's always going to be someone better than you.
Just added another billion the other day, so it's 8 now.
And so the experts say the best thing you can do is compete against yourself and say, can I be better than yesterday? Can I be better than what I did yesterday? And if you can have that peace and contentment and just challenge yourself and not worry about the other people, that's the key. But it's difficult, and I really feel for young people. If I didn't have social media in my day, because I'm 100 years old, so I know I would have really struggled with those comparisons. I'd say, look at him, look at her, they're doing so well.
Yeah.
It's so hard for young people. For my own 5 sons, I really feel for them, because it's that comparison which robs you of joy every single day. So my advice would be, just compete against yourself. Can I be better? 1% gains. Compound it. James Clear, Atomic Habits, 1% gains every day, that consistency, and just try and find peace and contentment. Because if you start comparing yourself, it's a slippery slope to
so hard
discontent.
Because the thing that I repeat that people don't like, I constantly have young people joining one of the companies or the group of companies, and I ask them, have they got 2 decades in them to succeed? I normally ask what's their 1-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goal, and ultimately where they want to get to. And sort of the younger you are, the less you're interested in your health and the more you're interested in money, which is fine. I was absolutely no different. I was full focused on monetary gain. But the levels of gain and what they want is one thing, but the time frame they wanted.
Yesterday.
And I basically say to anyone that I sit with, I can help you become a millionaire, but maybe now that's not even enough. So
wow.
And then the second part is, because a millionaire is like everyone's a millionaire, aren't they? Just every you walk out in the street, I can help you become a millionaire. Okay, multiple millions, if that's what your target is. They write down the target. Are you willing to give at least 10 years to that purpose? And maybe 20, because halfway through, like it did for me, 5 years in, I went from hero to zero. Are you willing, if you're in year 7, 8, or 9, to realize that your knowledge is actually the bit that's going to get you back or save you or rescue you? Like one of the people I love listening to, he's not often, doesn't do public appearances a lot, is Warren Buffett.
Yes.
So one of the wealthiest guys in the world lost 50% of his wealth 3 times.
Wow.
So Berkshire Hathaway has, the best investor in the world has lost 50% of his wealth. But it didn't matter, because it wasn't what he was doing was wrong. It was just the global economics, the markets, the economy, the environment. Are you willing to allow that to happen in your life, but know that you've put the foundations and the stepping stones? So you sit here and go, well, no, I'm not willing to do. He's in his 8th decade of becoming 80 years later, he's worth 300 billion. But by the time I'm 25, I want my Ferrari. But I think that's a great metaphor for life, because no matter what, we get the most confident speaker. Actually, great question. Have you ever had people who've been really confident and ended up just losing it, where they lost their confidence on stage and they felt like they had to go back to start again?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few clips where people are doing massive launches. There's a famous clip on YouTube. There's a massive launch for this organisation, big global organisation. He walks on, completely forgets what he's going to say, just walks off.
At
And
least
it's
he,
like
at least he,
absolute disaster. He just walked off. There was absolute chaos. So it happens.
is
to the
that
best
better
of us.
walking off than actually standing there?
Well, he wasn't prepared to stand there, and I think he's gone into fight and flight mode, and his brain said to him, if you don't get off the stage, you're literally going to die. And he's walked off for fear of his life. He was so deeply into fight and flight mode and survival mode, he went off. So it happens to the best of us. You know, it happens to top actors, top speakers.
When was there a point where you felt like, or you have just basically went blank?
I do it all the time. All the time. I forget what I'm going to say. I say the wrong words. I stutter. I stammer all the time. And
is there any place that comes to mind where
I do it all the time.
Yeah, but there must have been a time you're able to cover over it now, or even I'm sure you can make a joke out of it. But was there a time you just wanted the world to?
Yeah. When I was younger, in my early 20s.
Give me an example.
Early 20s. Well, I could just be delivering a talk to someone, and I'd forget what I was going to say. I'd lose my train of thought, and I'd just be so embarrassed, and I'd be quite ashamed, and I'd get down on myself, and I'd go bright red, and then my heart would start pounding, the throat would go, I'll get Elvis-like, I'd start going, I'd go, and I'd be go into panic mode. But then over the years, through practice and experience, what I've tried to do is reject judgment and embrace failure, which is what I struggled with for 20, 30 years. I was terrified of people's judgments.
That long, yeah.
For such a long time. Only the last 10 years I've turned this around. So all my life, judgments, worrying about what people think about me, worrying about my content, and then failing, messing up, forgetting what I'm going to say, etc. And now my approach and my process is I do the best I can. If it's a 5 out of 10, it's a 5 out of 10. If it's a 9, smashed it, it's party time. But you've got to be happy in your process. Don't worry about the outcome. And what other people think about me is none of my business. And that's my approach.
Your 5 out of 10 now is still high level, isn't it? Because your 10 out of 10 must be it must have been an 11 back in the day.
Yeah, I would hope my 5 or 6 out of 10 would be pretty decent now.
Yeah.
But to get an 8 or 9 out of 10, I'd have to be absolutely smashing it, ticking 20, 30 boxes. I mean, I'd have to be really on fire. So, yeah.
You know the saying, I've used it so many times, about fake it till you make it. Is that what, I suppose there's different ways of saying the same thing, but is that what you kind of, you did?
Sean, I'm going to be really honest here. I don't like that phrase. Yeah. And a lot of people use it, a lot of speakers and experts, and that's fine. That's up to them. The reason I don't like it is because it sounds...
fake?
Disingenuous. Well, it is. It sounds dishonest.
Yeah.
So for me, because it sounds like you're saying, well, just be fake, just pretend, just lie until you get there. What I would rather say is, be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with being average. When you practice your talk for the first time, it's going to be absolutely pants. Be okay with that. And eventually, after practice, and you keep going, you'll start to hit your numbers and you'll start to get there. I don't like fake it because it smacks of being dishonest, and I don't like that. And I am, especially for the last 10 years, it's about being authentic and being genuine and saying to people, well, I'm new at this, I'm not very good, but I'm okay with not being very good. And I'm going to press on, and eventually you'll get there. So I don't like that. I've got no problem with people using it. It's not my cup of tea.
But that's exactly, you do notice the people that are authentic over time shine through.
Yeah.
And if you are faking it, you could end up being an actor all your life. But in theory, we get up and we go out every day, and if someone goes, how are you today? If you actually told them, they probably wouldn't ask you again. So there's an element of, look, okay, we all put on some sort of face.
Yeah.
But I decided when I set out on my journey of confidence I would just act how I want to be. Because that's the place that I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not faking it. I'm just constantly practicing it.
Yeah,
it's like
genuine.
It's like
authentic.
it's my bartering skills when I was younger, when I wanted to buy or sell something. It was my confidence, or well, it wasn't even confidence, but I love being in circles of people. And sometimes I thought, oh, these people won't accept me. But it didn't stop me walking into the circle and sitting there, not even knowing what to say. But I thought, if I don't practice walking into the circle, so I'm on the same you. I wanted to be in that circle, and I wanted to be confident. So my mind was saying yes, and my Elvis my Elvis legs were saying no. There's a theme here, really. If you don't lean into the hardship, whatever it is, how do you think that the bit that got me with public speaking? So I did a bit of a public speaking course, but the bit that was the icing on the cake, I did a stand-up comedy gig.
Brilliant.
Not too far from here, and it was the most exciting but nerve-wracking thing. Yeah. But I don't know why I was so adamant that I wanted to put myself in that bracket of the 1% that actually tries to break the mold, or what's the stats that it's the thing that people fear more than death?
75% of people
fear it more than death.
Yes.
No, but isn't it something that you'd prefer?
More than death.
Yeah. Do you think that's just in you? Is there people that are genuine? Like, on the outside, I always looked semi-confident, but people that are really maybe nervous about the world that they're in and nervous about going outside. Do you get those people turning up that think, well, I'm going to go? It's like jumping in the deep. I thought I was jumping in the deep end, but I was already at a bit of a level of confidence.
Yeah.
But what about the people that are really starting out, that are nervous to stand in front?
Yeah. And some people will take years. I mean, I've been working with the business owner where it was 6 months in now on a one-to-one coaching. He's going to need a few more months, but he will get there. A couple of ladies about 6 months ago in a workshop, and we asked them to come out and just do a bit of a role play. This one lady in particular went like the colour of Ribena, like purple. And she started to shut down and she was putting her hands up and got so agitated. One of my colleagues was asking her to come out and do this role play. And I was thinking, please don't ask her anymore. But he was gently trying to encourage her, because you do need to lean into your nerves. It's about having a little bit of courage, because it's not nice. It's not comfortable when you go into survival mode. And she started to shut down. But the colour of it, she was a white girl, but her face went purple. And very quickly you sort of had to back off. We went and had a chat with her later. But some people, it's actually a phobia of having eyes on you. It's actually a phobia. And I wasn't aware of this, because I've never had the problem with people looking at me. But some people, it's an issue. And this one lady, she's got it bad. Never mind speaking to an audience. She doesn't even want people looking at her. That was an issue. So that's even harder to work with.
You have to even admire that then. Because I admire anyone that turns up. Because it's harder for her to turn up than me or you or somebody that's already semi.
Yeah, we're on the way. We're on the way. That's she's got. Wow. She needs.
That's the people I lean into and I love speaking with. The people that you think that they need that shoulder to lean on to give them the step.
Massively. But having a one-to-one conversation, she was really confident.
Wow.
But this group dynamic, she was having none of it at all.
So is that practice? You reckon for her it's practice, or is it something underlying that...
I think, there's a lot of psychology involved. I think you need to go back to your roots, because there's only two fears we're actually programmed with at birth. And if you look at your top, psychologists, and that's fear of noises and fear of falling. All other fears we have are learned behaviours. So the fear of speaking is a learned behaviour. So you have to do some introspective work. Go back to your childhood, like I did, 15, getting shut down by my English teacher, and find out where were you most afraid of speaking. Also, I'll go back to even early childhood. My mother had a ferocious temper. My mother was born in Myanmar, Burma. ferocious temper. I mean, I've got an absolutely massive temper, which I've had to, learn to control over the years. People wouldn't believe me, but if my temper's off the charts. So my mother, the fear of upsetting my mother, thank you. I would make sure again that I towed the line, because if I said a word out of line, it could be the consequences were really dire for me. So again, I go back to my childhood with my mother. And so the fear of speaking definitely happened when I was a child. And glossophobia, the fear, the nerves around speaking, 75% of people, it starts in childhood, is what the research says. Your fear of speaking starts in childhood. So I encourage all my one-to-one clients on my workshops to do some research, do some self-reflection, and think back to your childhood. Think back to those moments. Was there any traumatic instances or times where you...
Surely we all must have, I think everyone must put their hand up and look back at their childhood and say, well, it could be a number of things.
Well, I mean, I've asked this question to some people, and some people said, well, I just physically can't remember.
Maybe
some
they
people's
closed it.
memories of, maybe they closed it off. People say it very vague. Some people will tell you chapter and verse and to the second where they were and what happened. So it's different for everyone else. But I've spent a long time looking back to my childhood and youth and seeing where I was fearful of speaking. And that's been really helpful for me, because if you know your roots, if you know where you started, then you can understand your journey.
Is there a certain demographic that perform better?
Well, I would say private school pupils perform much better at speaking and are far more confident, because they're programmed differently. And I'm sorry to be crude here, but just saying it as it is, and I'm generalising massively here. But if you take a state school and a private school and look at the private school ethos if you send your child to private school from the age of 4, they're pumped with confidence, and you can speak and you can do anything, and here's courage and be brave. And in a state school, you don't get that at all. So if you track both pupils from age 4, state school, private school, getting to 18, those two young people, completely different.
So the parents whispering in their ear saying, listen, you're costing me a fortune, you better sort your shit out.
I've got friends who went to private school, whose children are in private school, and they're poles apart and I've worked with thousands of children and young people, thousands over the years. I've seen it. I've seen the difference. And it's for confidence and speaking skills, it's a massive advantage. If you get 2 18-year-olds, one's been in private school, one's been in state school, one's absolutely unbelievably confident, one could be terrified. I'm generalising, but generally that's the key, and that's been my experience.
You're extremely passionate about helping others. I am too, and the older I get, the more I want to actually spend time trying to help others.
Yeah.
Is that something that public speaking and standing on stage naturally pushes you that way, or do you reckon it's how you are as a person?
Well, I just enjoy sharing my story, because it's not something I read in a book. It's not something someone taught me. I've lived through this. So this has been my personal experience, and I just love to share what I've learned, because it's so helpful. When you improve your speaking skills, it not only filters into your business life, it filters into your personal, your social life, and there's hundreds of benefits to improving your speaking skills. So I know that when I'm helping a workshop or a one-to-one client, or sort of working in a role play session, I know these people are going to benefit massively, and that's lovely. I mean, I got invited to Africa last year. I've got my Speak and Win model, my coaching program and model is being delivered across Africa, in Sierra Leone on the west coast. And I'm so pleased and so grateful that I was able to deliver that. And I know there's African young people and students being helped with their speaking skills, because if anyone's up against it, the West Africans are, to have a future. They have one meal a day, they live in terrible, difficult conditions. So if I can help them in some way, that's amazing for me. That was an amazing experience.
Is there like a basic exercise or some exercise you get people to, like, but I don't know the answer to these things. But this isn't staged. I do not know the answers to these things. I've just gone my own route. But I am interested, and the reason I'm interested is because again, this afternoon I'm going somewhere to speak to these young kids, and a lot more of this. I'm going to be trying to loosen up and help people relax
Yeah.
that I'm going to mentor. But is there certain exercises, like you see it online, we go, come on, move your lips, do a dance. But do you actually do that? Yeah.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, got to do all that.
I need to
Warm your
practice. See, I
voice
need to
up, yeah.
practice that one. Gargle. We could get the polyphenols out of you. But is there certain exercises that make people laugh or get them going?
Yeah.
Like whether you're in Africa or whether you're in Liverpool?
Well, there's one exercise I've used for years, and again, I've used it with hundreds and hundreds of participants, and it's just a speaking exercise that I encourage adults and young people to do. I say, go and find a quiet space at home, in your bathroom or your bedroom. If you can't find it, if home isn't quiet, go for a walk, find a quiet place, and just practice these 4 things out loud. And I say, it's got to be out loud, because a lot of people I speak to, when they're going to do a speech, they say, I'm just going to practice it in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute no-no,
So what's
Sean.
the 4 things?
I'll tell you now. So what you have to speak out loud, because to connect what's in your mind with what comes out your mouth is very, very difficult. And it's a long way from your mind to what comes out your mouth. So I say you must practice it out loud. And I just say these 4 things. Talk about your strengths and qualities. List them out, 4 or 5. Talk about an achievement you're really proud of. Talk about your hobbies and interests, and something off your bucket list in the future. And you can easily fill 3 or 4 minutes. You can do that a couple of times, 10 minutes a week. If you are consistent, now that exercise in itself is not difficult. The difficult bit is doing it every week and being consistent. And the key to being successful is that horrible word people hate, consistency. If you practice that for 6 months every week, watch your nerves and anxiety around speaking reduce, and watch your confidence for speaking go through the roof. Because the next time someone says, oh, tell me about yourself at a networking event, whatever, instead of crumbling going, oh, well, I don't really like to, or showing off, I don't really want to, I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. Instead of, recoiling like a wilting flower, shoulders back like you've just walked off a Marvel set. I'm Sean O'Neill. Do you know I'm a professional snooker champion, world champion? You know that, and this and that, and bang, you're away. And your confidence goes through the roof from such a simple
But then don't go
exercise.
back and tell everybody that. Then you look like you're boasting then after it.
But again, some people have a problem with this exercise because they feel they're showing off and boasting. And I have to say, you've got to self-promote in a gracious way. You've got to self-promote going forward.
I'm going back to my farm tomorrow. I'm going to stand in the field.
And talk to the cows.
You know what? Actually, when you go into a field, noise travels. I'll have to go on top of the hill.
But some people struggle with that exercise because they don't like talking about themselves.
I'd struggle with that.
Really?
I'd struggle with shit. Well, if I'm in a bad mood or something's got me down, and I know that come on, this is temporary. Like I've got a saying that everything is temporary.
Yeah, it is. It will pass.
Because everything's temporary, no matter how great life is or however not so. But I will try and go somewhere and say as loud as I can. Like, for example, I'm a Wally. What am I thinking about? I'll say something that actually halfway through the loudness, it'll make me smile. Sometimes I think if I can't shout loudly, I'll say to my nan something like, what do you think of me now? Aren't I a fucking idiot? You're looking down on me saying, look, I'll say something because I know that she'll go, yeah, you are. So get your ass in gear. So I'll maybe run off somewhere. But if you're in a public place, you go to the loo, there's somebody next door, they'll think you've lost your marbles. If you go to a restaurant, it's really hard in a city centre to actually find a quiet space. But I will, if I can't shout loud, I'll think of the person I respect and love the most, and I'll, as my nan would have said, in your mind's eye, I'll have a quick conversation and go, tell me I'm a Wally, because I know I am. And it snaps me out of it, because I realise that the person that I love and respect the most has just told me, snap yourself out of it. Be grateful for the whatever I have, or be brave enough to fight through whatever I need to try and achieve that.
That's a really important point you've made. So some people have busy homes and will struggle to find a quiet space. What I would say is put some instrumental music in your earphones,
And shout.
go out for a walk, and just whisper it. Just whisper it.
Yeah.
My strengths and qualities are: I'm really hardworking, I turn up on time, I'm dedicated, I'm determined, I'm a great problem solver, and just say it quietly because it looks like you're on the phone to someone. So deal with the judgments. Don't worry about anyone looking at you. No one's looking at you anyway. So we have to get over ourselves.
That's the bit.
Get over ourselves. It's all.
That is the
we
bit.
have to get over that self-judgment.
That's the
worrying
bit.
about what people think about us.
Nobody actually cares.
They really don't. They really don't care.
You know, when you go on the street and you see somebody that is acting out of sorts or speaking a bit loud, or even easier, see someone that's drunk, you don't look at them and judge them. You go, nobody actually cares what you're doing.
No.
We all have so much in our own head.
We do.
The last thing we're thinking about is what somebody else is doing.
Yeah, and Sean, that is the crux of improving speaking skills and reducing nerves. It's the psychology, it's your mindset. Because if you can win the battle in your mind, and I failed for for decades, only the last 10 years I've turned it around, and I've got a grip of the psychology that I need to improve my speaking skills.
Is there anyone online? Because we talked about well, everyone's online now, but is there anyone online that if you wanted to just stick on a YouTube or something, is there anyone online you'd say that's a person worth listening to?
I look at Ryan Gosling all the time. So he's a famous Hollywood actor, if you don't know who he is. But for me, it's about speaking live, face to face. Now, I've seen him at award shows. He's standing there. He's got thousands of people, all kinds of movie stars and celebrities. He's under pressure. It's being beamed to millions around the world. And he speaks calmly like you and me, just having a conversation. You can't see the chest going like that. You can't see the nervous twitch. When I get really nervous, I get a twitchy face.
My cheeks.
Legs go red, dry throat. But you can, when I'm most nervous and my heart's coming out my chest, you can hear that the variance in my voice because my heart's beating so fast. Ryan Gosling is the most chilled, natural speaker I've ever seen. And then for a lady, I would say go and look at Michelle Obama. She's just incredible, cool as a cucumber, just speaks effortlessly. When she's speaking to millions on camera, it's like she's having a chat one-to-one. So Michelle Obama, Ryan Gosling, they're my two go-tos for just incredible confidence and a 10 out of 10 speaking skills.
You know, you mentioned there about I have had twitches in places that I never even thought about my places. My cheeks start like, thankfully it hasn't happened for a while. It's like micro nerves that are just like bouncing. And when that starts, I have to do the whole well, just to straighten myself out.
I used to get this twitch in my face, and it would be when I was being asked to speak. It was like a Q&A session, or I didn't know what questions were coming. And when I was a lot younger, and I'd start to get nervous, and my face would do this twitching, and I'd look down at my face. It was like something else of Alien. Going, why is my face moving like that? And I get this nervous twitch in my face. And again, over the years, I've learned it's all about your prep. It's all about being relaxed. And that hasn't happened to me for a long time. It might come back.
Does anyone else really notice? Or is it you think your face is...
I think it's quite noticeable, yeah. It's quite a big twitch. It's quite a big facial twitch.
I don't think... I think we think that.
Well, it feels like the whole side of my face is moving.
Is it a movie I used to watch, Gremlins, years ago, where they used to be trying to reach out from somewhere?
I love that movie. Love Gremlins. Brilliant movie.
Is there anything out there that people rarely ask? Because you must have the general things. How do I be more confident? What do I do?
Yeah.
You have all the standard. I'm sure if you type it into Google, there's the 5-10 most asked questions.
Yeah.
Is there something that is the 1% that is so underrated, but probably gives a really good foundation, that's so easy or overlooked? Or is it the standard practice?
I think something we don't talk about in improving speaking skills, and it's something that I'm trying to champion, and I have been trying to champion for years, it's having that little bit of courage to lean into those uncomfortable moments when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel nervous, when you go into fight and flight mode, when your mind goes blank, your throat goes dry, your heart's pounding, Elvis leg starts going, you feel like you're going to be sick. you need a little bit of courage to lean into it, because it will pass, like you said before. It will pass. And I was just creating a video yesterday, and I was saying it was a point I was making, and that is the anticipation of speaking is far worse than the delivery. And 95% of people, we panic, we get ourselves into such a state before we speak. But once we get going, we're fine. And that's 95% of people. And I've spoke to thousands of adults and young people who say the same thing. Terrified about speaking. Once I get going, I'm okay. And that's the key.
Sometimes it's like you get going. I've had the point where I was get going, but then I got going and I got going and I nearly was tripping over myself. I was nearly tripping over myself because I didn't know how to compose myself. Right. I did a cognitive test years ago. And when you get the results, you probably know because you know yourself better than anyone. But it gave me a list of things like I've got an incredible audio and visual recall. I've always said, be careful what you tell me, especially in the boardroom setting, because I'll remember. Be careful what you tell me. So if I see it or hear it, I remember. But it's shit when I'm the only one that remembers and nobody else does. It's like as if I'm making it up. But I do say, be careful what you say or what I see, because I'll remember. But the other thing is, and it'll probably become apparent now, is I've got a very slow processing speed. So the way you said it takes time for the brain to the mouth.
It really does.
And there's times, and it happens so often, no matter how confident I am in a situation, I know the answer, but I can't get it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So I've been in certain circumstances where it's not that I'm calm, I'm relaxed, especially board meetings, for example.
Yeah.
Because if I'm talking about myself, or if most of us are talking about ourselves, we can talk forever. But in a sort of in a board meeting or something serious, or where you're, let's say, negotiating, I'm not an incredibly good negotiator on the spot. I'm quite good if I know the narrative.
Yeah.
But if someone hits a curveball for me, no matter how confident I am about speaking, I'd be sitting later that evening in the office or hours later, and I'd be like, I'm nearly on the phone. I've got the. He's already done the deal. I've got the answer for you. I know why I shouldn't have done it, but sometimes I've felt the pressure where I thought, this is the time to agree, and if I haven't got an answer, then their answer must be, I haven't got a reason why no, so I've agreed yes. So if there's anyone out there that thinks that they've already got the confidence, they've got the skills, they've got it summed up, never feel the pressure to close because you're not under pressure. If you don't know the answer, or you think there's something not sure in that position, because no matter how confident we get, it doesn't mean, as you said before, it's a long way from the brain to the mouth.
It is.
It's a long way from mine. Hence why I probably come across where I speak a little bit slower. Someone who does speak slower, but to be honest, I mentioned before, is Obama. He's just...
But he's given himself time. He's very clever.
Yeah.
Because he will
but
never,
I feel if I give that amount of time, there was actually a funny story. There was a young lad started working with me, and he brought a deal to the table. And we met at the Hilton Hotel. So he brings this man to the table who wants to do a deal. There's this young lad who's trying to prove himself, and there's me. So the guy's telling me the deal. And when he speaks, the young lad who's introduced keeps butting in. It's because I've maybe waited like 2 seconds.
Oh, when he's not comfortable with the pause. He didn't like the pause.
I felt like smacking him. So I'm sitting there, and the guy's, he's got this deal. It's no deal. It's just not a deal. It's not a deal for anyone. But I thought, I'm going to respect the position, and the young lad's doing his best bringing the deal, and I've got this guy, so I'm going to try and be respectful to everyone. Young lad keeps butting in. So I'm sitting there. But that 2-second pause, which is every time, like it was really... I'm trying to figure out a respectful way of saying, what you're telling me here is just wasting my time. But he keeps jumping in. Now, I didn't realize my 2-second pause feels like five seconds to everybody else.
Oh, it does, yeah.
But at the end of it, I says, you know, and I asked the young lad, I says, sit with me for a few minutes. He says, you've brought me here to talk. What the fuck are you doing butting in? And he goes, Sean, he says, I literally couldn't sit there in silence. The man, the other guy was like, and I said, well, if somebody isn't comfortable, probably goes back to the things we're saying, if somebody is asking to meet you in the future and they're not comfortable of how you conduct a meeting and ask the questions, they're not the right people to be sitting in your environment.
Yeah, yeah. It's being okay with the pause, and that's a skill in itself. But going back to the point that you've made about it feels like it's a long way from what's in your mind, what you want to say, to get it out your mouth.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a long, long way. Even though it's only a split second, it feels like it takes forever. And the best way we can fix that, and I'll do some of this with you, I promise you, and we'll do some role plays. So you need a bit of courage, because it's like a bit of acting, a bit of drama. But I promise you, if you lean into it, it's because we create false pressure. And in a safe way, you haven't got the judgments, and you haven't got failure in front of millions. It's we create false pressure basically, and it's great because you're improvising and you have to think on your feet. It's one of the times where I feel most alive, because you're forced under pressure to problem solve in a split second, and you've got to come up with the answer. And I love it.
Yeah, I don't
And it's
know.
great for your speaking skills, brilliant for your speaking skills, and that will really help you with your process. And we'll do some of that.
One of my mentors, I want to ask you about mentors in your life. One of my elders, best friend, elder, mentor. He's like an uncle, and he also puts me in line at times. I go to him for everything, because I thought that he literally was like Google. He knows everything, and I remember this day. And you know what? I have used this line time and time again, because I think he knows everything, wise. And I asked him a question thinking that he'd know the answer, and this, for me, this was an obvious question. He would know the answer, and he sat there and goes, how would I know? And he said it in such a I don't need to give you a clever answer now, I just don't know. And I remember thinking, he was nearly brave enough, because I look up to him, so he could have been the person that knows everything and continued on with some answer. You know, like we do, we all give advice, although to be fair, some of our advice isn't that switched on. He will only give me advice if he really knows. He won't give his loose version.
Well, that's helpful, isn't it? Yeah.
And I have learned the ability to be almost confident by not knowing. And more so than ever, if I get asked a question, or even if I'm standing, you know, on stage, or if I'm in some environment that I am the elder, the mentor, the person that should know, if someone asks me, I won't try and be clever. I'll basically say, I don't know.
But it takes confidence and courage to say that, because most people will bluff it, blag it, and give an answer.
And that's what
when the best thing to do, so you don't get tripped up, is say, actually, I don't know, but I'll find out for you.
So the more confident I've got is the ability to know that I don't know.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant.
So many things.
Yeah.
And the only response I'll say is, I probably don't know, but if I thought I knew, this is kind of the angle that I'm going at.
Yeah, brilliant.
So tell me about some mentors or people that
my
have guided
mentor for speaking skills especially is Bill Bygroves, and he was a minister for many years, and he's now the chaplain at Liverpool Football Club. But him and his wife Dot, I've known them for 40 years. They were incredible mentors to me. Bill and Dot are brilliant speakers, but Bill's speaking, I used to listen to him every week in church. The most incredible speaker you've ever seen, and I learned so many of my speaking skills from Bill and lots of other people who he worked with at the time. But Bill was just an incredibly engaging, passionate, energetic, authentic speaker, and I owe him a massive debt. And without Bill's mentorship, I wouldn't be doing Speak and Win. I wouldn't be doing the workshops and the one-to-ones. I just wouldn't be doing it, because he was an incredible mentor, and I learned so much. And he was very, very generous in his time and his guidance. He was brutal at times. He would shut me down big time. Met him, you know, many times. We had a few ding dongs. We were a real straight talker, but an incredible mentor, and his wife Dot, brilliant. So they're like the Scouse version of Barack and Michelle Obama. They're just incredible speakers, incredible people, amazing mentors.
Within my company structure and the group of companies, we've got our managers, directors. So what advice would you give my managers, directors, or leaders of the businesses that could then relate to helping their employees with their speaking skills?
What I've found over the last 10 years, the best way to times 10 your speaking skills is role play sessions. So get your leaders to set up role play sessions. I'll come and deliver them for you. But what it does is it creates false pressure. It gets people thinking on their feet. So when you're in a real-time experience where you're in a board meeting, or you're doing a Q&A and you have to think on your feet, or someone throws you a difficult question, or someone's rude to you, because you've been doing that role play, because you've got the role play in the bag, because you've dealt with that judgment, because you've embraced failure. You've given yourself that half a second, maybe 2 or 3 seconds to be able to deal with that situation. It rockets your confidence, and it helps you do that computing, that processing of getting the words from in here, out your mouth in a nice, calm, composed, measured way. They're fun. They're really enjoyable. You haven't got millions of people watching. It's just for 5 or 10 people. Brilliant.
So what would happen? Would I put that to my group?
Yeah.
And would I try and push people to turn up for it, or would I encourage the people who really want to turn up? Because I'd imagine some people need a push.
Yeah, I mean, that's for you and your leaders to decide, because you'll have people who you want to improve the speaking skills. You'll have people who will enjoy the session. There'll be some who won't want to do it because it's like a bit of acting, it's a bit of drama, it's the unknown, but they need some courage. But if you list all the benefits, you can only give them the benefits. Obviously, you can't force them to attend, but there'll be a number of people who you'll want to attend for different reasons. But I think if you list the benefits, you can only be honest and transparent with them. But the benefits, Sean, oh my days, incredible. And for me, it's reduced my nerves and anxiety around speaking and rocketed my confidence to speak in so many different platforms. That role play, it just literally times 10s your speaking skills. But it gives you that half a second, sometimes a few seconds, to come up with the right answer and to process and get it.
I'm gonna get them to listen to this. I'm gonna request that they listen to this podcast, and hopefully they'll take up the opportunity, because I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's also quite great with the dynamic, because it's a level playing field then. So if you've got a junior within an environment and they don't get much time, they look up to their managers or bosses or seniors. I can imagine in that environment we're all level.
And that's a great point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can have the CEO and you can have the intern, but actually in a role play session,
and the CEO,
everyone's the same.
The CEO can make a fool of himself.
Everyone's
as much
the same.
Yeah. That's what I loved about it.
And what we could do, we could have the CEO, who is the organisation, and the intern is coming to complain about a product, and absolutely giving the CEO down the banks. And the CEO's got to give really good customer service. What a brilliant scenario.
Listen,
You're absolutely flipping it.
I'd probably agree with it.
You start fighting
I'd
with
say,
them.
well, can you give me some solutions why we're so crap?
You start fighting. You throw them out. Security, can you get them out, please?
But that did happen the first time that I went to a thing called Toastmasters years ago.
Yes.
And I turned up, and I was suited and booted, just come from the office, and I walked into a room, and as I walked in, my confidence drained. And I remember walking in, I still walked as if I owned the place, but there was these, people from all walks of life, whatever you want to call nerdy, not confident.
A massive variety, yeah.
And I remember I sat in there and I was feeling deep inside like the guy that just couldn't stand up.
But why did your confidence drain when you walked in? What happened?
Was I out of my own environment? Was it out of my comfort zone?
Oh, right.
Was it? But anyway, I got over that. They randomly said, "Oh, we've got a new visitor tonight." In the middle of, I thought I was going to sit there and listen. Oh wait, I'm halfway through. I've got a new visitor tonight. Sean, do you want to come up here and tell us why you're here tonight? And I was like,
Wow.
all I know is there was no Elvis legs. It was
Nearly
jelly legs.
passed out.
I literally don't remember
Wow.
what I said.
Yeah.
I went to autopilot. I think you can do on your you can do 1.5x or 2x,
Yes,
when you watch a
yes,
video. No,
yes.
that was me. Hello, I'm Sean here. I want to learn my speaking skills. I just want to do this. I want to be confident. I want to make friends. Oh, thank you. Bye-bye. I was like, that was it.
Yeah.
I thought, holy fuck. I'm thinking that, looking around me, I was like walking in like Macho Man. Anyway, that gave me the shock.
Great.
A question I want to ask you. Do you always go prepared with some PowerPoint or some presentation of some sort to keep you on track? Or can you go for an hour or two lesson with very little or no material?
Yeah, so I use, when I'm doing my workshops especially, I'll have a slideshow presentation. So it's multimedia. So I've got videos, I've got GIFs, I've got graphs and charts, I've got pictures. I use everything multimedia can give us. But what I always say, and again, the best coaches will always say, you are the presentation, Sean. You might have heard that before. It's not your presentation. So if that dies, you've got to know what you're talking about, because we are the presentation.
Yeah.
They haven't come to see your slides, they've come to see you. So if that fails, you've got to know your stuff well enough or have bullet points so you can get through it. Now, for example, when I was in Africa last year, we didn't use PowerPoints, etc. It was workshops, half-day workshops, where it was just me and large groups. There was no PowerPoint. So that really tested me. How engaging can it be?
Will you have some flashcards or some notes or?
No, but because I've been delivering the workshops for so long, I was okay. I broke it up with activities and challenges, confidence building games, and to make it even more difficult, I was speaking to a translator who was absolutely incredible, who was talking in the language which is Cree in Sierra Leone, which is an adapted version of English. It sounds like English. It's an amazing language.
I think we both speak an adapted version.
So I would say a sentence and then she'd go bang and she'd just say it. And it was like I was just speaking to them in my normal language. And we'd go, this ebb and flow, bang, bang, bang. And it was like I was just speaking.
So me with a 2-second pause, that'll be perfect. it would be seamless.
So yeah, so we got it off to a T. But yeah, so sometimes I'll use the presentation. Sometimes when you haven't got a presentation, it's even more freeing. You can be be more engaging, be more have a better connection, be more passionate, more energy. But it is helpful.
This is
to use it.
As I'm asking you these. I'm only entering into my early years of mentoring. And after multiple businesses under my belt with all types of experiences, I feel that this is whether it's philanthropic or whether it will be a commercial element to my mentorship, I feel it's the first time there's a business that I'm the one doesn't have to prepare for. I feel my preparation.
You've done it. You've got it. It's all under your belt.
Where I have a few bullet points, a bit of a slide.
Yeah.
It's everybody else in the team that has to prepare the venue, get the invites, get the ads. I feel like if I will always want to continue to work or be useful, but this is the avenue where I feel that saying where if you find something that you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life. I think this is the thing that I will be able to turn up with zero preparation and deliver to the best of my ability, because all I'm really doing is repeating my experiences of my life. Yeah,
exactly.
What a way. Is that what they call retirement?
I don't think it is.
But and I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's the same like these podcasts.
Yeah.
No matter what questions I would have there, I literally won't be able to ask them in that format because I just enjoy the conversation and will always have something that I want to say.
Yeah, it's lovely that you've got it all under your belt. And I think it's similar for me with my workshops, because I've been working on this for 30 years. There's a lot of experience there. So it's really helpful, isn't it? So I just relax and lean into it.
Well, we've only become friends this past few months, really, but it's definitely going to be a friendship that's going to last for a long time.
I'd love that.
And thank you for coming here today.
Pleasure.
It was an absolute pleasure. We could do another hour of this, but we'll save that for a part 2. So, thanks, Si.
Brilliant. Loved it.